Hello. Um, just making sure I got all my stuff set up over here. I I feel like I'm down a monitor, but I'm not. My brain is just I do have to change my screen resolution on the right side here, so I just feel like I'm missing pixels. But hello. Happy whatever day today is, January 28th. I have a weird mental illness where I think every day number that I read sounds important. To be like, oh, something happened on that day that was important, and today's no different. I feel like January 20th is an important day for some reason in my past, but who knows. But today will be fun as we get into my first stream of the year. It feels like it's been forever, though. I don't think I've talked to all you since, yeah, before the holidays. Had to take some time and enjoy breaks. Oh, maybe I have talked. Gosh, it's been so long. My brain is not firing on all cylinders this morning. I'm tied between drinking some water and some purple, whatever it's, ultraviolet monster, which is my favorite of the probably going to kill me levels of caffeine drinks that I like to consume. Well, hello everyone. I'll talk for a bit, as I usually do at the beginning, to allow some people to come in. And so feel free to, in the chat, talk about how the year has been going for you so far. And I can share some details about what's going on with us as we get into this. And of course, as this is my first stream since a while, I thought I tested some things, but if my audio or video or lighting or resolutions or any of the stuff feel off, by all means let me know. And Firefox here is telling me all about Pamela Anderson, which I honestly haven't thought about since I was a teenager. So I didn't know she was still in the news. What else can Firefox tell me about? I can tackle my credit card debt, and life would be better if we were probably just nice to each other. That's probably true. Alright, that's not where I start, though. I start here. Oh, geez, I don't want all those. Stop it. Hey, Andrew and Pishbot. With that name, you sound mechanical. I don't know if you're a real person or AI, but at some point here in the future, we probably won't know the difference or care, I guess. We'll all just be talking to computers all the time. I remember, gosh, it's been forever now, watching that movie AI with whatever that little kid's name is and whatever the older guy's name is. I can't remember his name, but little kid robot that gets kicked out of his family because they end up having a real kid, and his journey through through the world, and the movie ending so weirdly. And nowadays, we can just talk to ChatGPT, and it's far more friendly than anybody in that movie ever was. Though the kid was cute. Though more recently, I watched The Creator, I think. It feels like a reimagining of what the AI movie could have been. Much better. I enjoyed that one a lot more. Same concept, little kid robot that you learn to love throughout the movie, and by the end you don't know to whether or not you want to root for the computers or for the humans, or neither really, and just want everybody to die. My wife has this problem watching movies that end up making you hate humans without ever ending them. We watched the movie Snowpiercer. Again, older movie, not super old, but old enough, where it's like a class representation on a train that's traveling through the end of the world. There's no other living people except who live on this train. At the very front of the train, all the the conductor is, but behind them the wealthy, and then behind them middle class, and behind them the poor people. And it's just a I don't think by the end you learn to enjoy humans, and you kind of want everybody to die, which maybe they do. Have I tested DeepSeek? No, I have not. I did get so far as to like start looking at the project, the repo, to see what it would take to kind of set up our own or my own local instance, but I haven't honestly played with it that much. It's an exercise. It comes up, you know, for me, I use these LLMs for the usual cases, you know, to help me with some coding questions and to just bounce ideas off of and to brainstorm and to help write boring emails and and things like that. But at LaunchBox, we've been kind of off again, on again, thinking about, well, what could that technology do for us? What could we possibly use? A learning model, AI, a vector database, a RAG, whatever piece of it makes sense for us. And some obvious contenders are the language piece, right? There's lots of words written on the forums, and the GamesDB. In what way would AI help with those sorts of things? I don't know. It's still something we're playing around with. I think our first foray will probably be more incidental with respect to just asking help questions. It's just buckets of knowledge that we have between those sites, and it'd be lovely if you could ask little questions of like, well, how do I do this, or this isn't working, what should I do? The sorts of questions you see on repeat in the forums and Discord that have been answered the same way every time. All right, so Andrew's been trying out DeepSeek, and we cannot talk about China's government concerns. And yeah, for fear that I'm being monitored, maybe I shouldn't talk about it either out loud. Maybe my audio is being being listened to by, maybe that's what Pishbot is, AI DeepSeek. You replace your ChatGPT inside your Home Assistant with DeepSeek, I'm guessing, and it's almost the same as for controlling smart home. Yeah, that sort of stuff is fun. We have had since they first released it, the Amazon Alexa stupid thing, and I have to be careful about saying that because there's one sitting there that's probably going to start listening and talking to me, and I don't want that. But they're so dumb now. Like, you're like, hey, can you do something? To be like, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, or please go to the app, or you're gonna have to do something else. And they're just so dumb feeling all of a sudden. And I don't know if they've gotten dumber, or if just the GPTs and the other LLMs of the world have just spoiled us to think like, well, it should understand what I said. That's the basic expectation of an assistant these days, is that the words that I say make sense, regardless of whether or not I said them exactly in the right order. So I am looking forward to updating the Home Assistant concept with an LLM inspired thing. I don't know if I have the free time enough to explore setting it up for myself, but maybe, Andrew, you can tell me it's easy, and it's just like, oh, follow these 10 steps, and within 45 minutes you'll have a whole Home Assistant powered by some externally hosted or internally hosted thing. All right, well, he says it's easy. Maybe on a future stream, you can talk me through it. I'm not in a position to set that up right now. Like, what do you need? I assume, obviously, some kind of computer, some kind of thing, but like, how do you integrate it with, it's just anything that supports that API. I am glad that ChatGPT kind of owned the world for long enough that they sort of inadvertently set a standard for APIs. That makes life a lot easier. And my screens are so tiny I can't scroll more than one text message on this chat. ED2091 Yeah, search. I the evolution of knowledge, right? It used to be you had to know where it was at. If anyone remembers those old, I wonder if they still exist. Those old DMOS thing. Do they still have one? Yeah, like these things. Remember these things? This is how you had to find stuff. Well, I guess before this, you'd have to like talk to somebody. You have to talk to the operator, or ask somebody who then used something like this. And this was the way you found things on the internet, was links. And like, oh, video games, it's got its own category. What do we got? Game programming. QBasic, it's still relevant, right? Blitz Basic, jeez. Nostalgia. I don't think I could do it though. I don't remember enjoying this more than all of the modern conveniences of modern programming languages. But this was how you used to have to find stuff, and then Google and well, no, I guess not Google. I guess Jeeves and WebCrawler and Metacrawler and all those came along and made it so that you could just sort of search for them if you use the right keywords, and it searched the whole internet instead of just these curated lists, which I think was the beginning of a little bit of that official term, enshittification. Great word if you don't know it. Where just the world got a little bit worse because curated knowledge is always a little bit better. It's a little cleaner. But then Google improved it, and that was the last 20 years now. And then really the next big change was those Home Assistants, the Alexas, and the Ask Google sort of things, and now LLMs, which sort of bring us back to its slightly curated knowledge, because you have something that actually read it and can kind of understand it. And yeah, and so that's where we're at with all of our stuff. You know, like, what could we bring from that world into a tool like this, or a tool like this? Obviously it could help with the search, maybe, you know, have something that scans and has injected all of this, and then I could just ask questions, and maybe this question about, just gonna randomly click on a category here. Well, not random, I'm actually being curated, I guess. Yeah, troubleshooting, that's what I was looking for. Like, yeah, this one. You know, this question I know has been answered a number of times. I'm sure somewhere there's a post that specifically answers exactly what our normalization does. And every once in a while somebody posts like, oh, the word the is being put in the wrong spot, or these commas with the word disk or whatever is being ignored and I don't want it to. How do I tweak and all that stuff? I think an LLM would probably handle that pretty well. And welcome Sully the Monster, straight from perhaps my favorite Pixar movie. I find the humor in that movie exactly my cup of tea of the Pixar movies. Yeah, there's even no second place really. It's just, I love Boo and Mike and Sully and the whole cast. I one year wanted to go out as one of those dudes in the yellow suits. Now I can't think of the name, but those dudes that would go in and sanitize when there was kid touching going on. I wanted to go as that as Halloween one of the years. Yeah, the CDA. Thank you. Anywho, so that's what we've been thinking about with AI, is like, how do we use what we have, which is lots of knowledge, and bring maybe enhanced search or enhanced things. Like, wouldn't it be cool if I could type in, I want to find a game with a male protagonist who has to save a royal a royal eventual non-lover, and find Mario, right? It'd be, I don't think any other search technology could do that, because I wonder if what ChatGPT would say to this question. But been thinking about that. Okay, well, I think I've stalled for a few minutes, catching up on my thoughts on AI. I do use it a lot. If you haven't, or if you use Windows, which I'm sure that you do, or Mac, there's a ChatGPT, if that's your flavor of choice. There's a little app that you can install that's really just an Electron wrapper around the website, but it's actually really nice because you can set up keyboard bindings to it and just automatically search for things, which I do all the time. It's become my de facto starting point for questions instead of the Goog. Though I've been using Bing forever because I'm that guy. And so I Google on the Bing instead. All right, what do we normally do with this? We talk about updates with the thing. We talk about what I'm going to do on the stream. It's probably the same sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, but updates. I like these little checkboxes, but I always forget how to type them. There we go. Updates, stream. And in the world of updates, we have our Windows, Android, GamesDB, just the company, the business, you know, what's going on with us, LaunchBox itself, unbroken software. And, you know, the future, and who knows what else. We could talk about a few of those things. And the stream today, who knows? My thought was to talk about single sign-on, which I'll allude to why as we talk about these other things. But we can hop into give a quick little update. Super brief, because if you haven't seen it, we have a revised stream schedule where we're going to be doing 2 streams a week at least, with an occasional roughly monthly third one that would be more of a deep dive. It was posted, I think, in the forums. Do I still have the forums open here? So if you're on the forum and you go to probably here, it was just posted. Oh, I thought you had an announcement stream. Where did it go? Maybe deleted it. Maybe it was only for me and it was just logged in. But we had a schedule posted by Farron. I could have sworn there was another link somewhere. Farron, put it in the, if you're paying attention, can you throw it in the chat? If Nightbot doesn't yell at you. If not, I will find it. I will find it. It's important that everybody sees this. Just talking about how fancy technology can be for finding stuff, and here I am scrolling up. Scrolling up on a Discord chat, because that's the best I have. Yeah, here's the link. Okay, he posted this, so our good friend Farron posted this last week. This is our plan. I'm doing the Tuesday here at 1 Eastern, 12 my time, because I am in the burbs of Chicago. Once in a while, at least monthly, more often if we see a need, our good friend Astrobob is going to do his now famous deep dives, where he takes a topic and tells you all that you'd want to know and then some with respect to that. And these will either be a feature, right? Like we have a bazillion buttons and knobs in LaunchBox, and you've probably only touched most of them, and a lot of people haven't touched many of them, and some people haven't touched any of them, and part of that might just be because you don't know it's there, or you don't know what to do when you do find it. And so Astrobob does a really good job at diving into those topics and sharing how he uses it, how we use it, how you could use it, all the different nuances with respect to it. And so we'll keep doing those. whereas these Tuesday and Thursday scheduled ones will be really less regimented, more freeform, more classic stream of just we're going to do a thing and try to get through a couple of hours with a topic. The other thing that Astrobob will be doing this or topic might be, oh, we're seeing a lot of posts in the community about X, Y, or Z. It may not be a specific feature of LaunchBox, but more of a feature of the industry that we're in, or a thing about a specific emulator, or even about a specific sort of infrastructure piece, that Moonlight, Sunshine stuff, or the new Razer announced their version of GeForce Now and their streaming service and all these things. Lots of industry news. We might pick one of those topics if we see a lot of conversation about those and really dive in. Yes. Okay, can I move the camera frame to the right? Let me see. To the right. You want to see this? More than this? I can understand that if that's the case. I don't know how to move the camera. Or you want to move the actual picture by face, the actual face, the whole box. I get it. I can do that. Where's the OBS? This is OBS. And I could honestly just put my face anywhere. How about I put my face here? Oh, but then the little box. All right, sorry, bad theme, but we'll deal with that. I could just hide me for a second, but oh gosh, now I'm really messing this up. Don't do this live. Oh geez, click on the face again. All right, I'll just make me really small for now, and I'll probably forget about it, and I'll just be this little clippy in the corner for a while. And apologies for this box. I might be able to hide that too. Is that this one? There we go. Okay, no box, just my face in the corner, silhouetted by a CRT shader. Hopefully that's better. But yes, Farron, Astrobob will teach you how to, I can't say that out loud, play the game of LaunchBox the way that you can. Every choice has 3 options in our world. Awesome. And Thursdays, Farron, as we're talking a lot about him, will be talking, I don't know like how to generalize this, but more ethereally, like just high level, like what we're doing, actual updates. Brian, in his official capacity, ultimately is in charge of our schedule with respect to what we're working on, what gets delivered. The when is less his ability, because he leans on developers and other people to do some of the actual typings of things. But ultimately, all of that comes to him, and so he has the best behind the scenes insights to all of that. Super involved in the industry and the community, and so we can talk about sort of time sensitive versions of those, dive into features, really just a regular occurrence with the guy who knows everything, Farron, who got his fame from building themes, and now gets his fame by wanting to build themes while designing features for everyone else. And so super exciting for that. These two, the regular occurring ones, both me and Brian live in North America, and so we're choosing a convenient time for us, middle of the day. He's Eastern time, so 1 for him and noon Central for me and mine. But I think we're flexible. If for whatever reason anyone sees a need to say, hey, that will never work for me, and if we get enough of that kind of feedback, then we could maybe switch it up in the future. Astrobob lives on the other side of the Earth. His time zone is ridiculous, and so this time works well for him, because I think this is his morning, like an early morning even for him. or it's really late. I can't remember which way it goes, but either way, he couldn't do classic North American time schedules, and so he does this one, but that's good. We've seen just as much interest in both of them. And Zuka Buka raises the burning question of if we're doing a giveaway. No, we are not. That was a thing we tried in 2024 to see how it went. And while we enjoyed giving those out, and we certainly could return to that in some future, these weekly schedules, that would be a lot for us to do twice a week. And so it's going to be more event-based, I guess. Instead of these streams being a guaranteed license giveaway, we may have a specific thing. We'll make sure that is included in any announcements for streams when that's a thing. You know, I might have a burning vote or a question or a design or whatever, and we may tie some giveaway to that. But on the regular, these certainly will not. Still undecided with respect to these. The best way, honestly, for us to get to do more giveaways, is for these streams to be more prolific, as it were. You know, we'd love to get to a point where we have, you know, triple digits of viewers on the regular, and none of us are professional streamers. This is something we're doing on behalf of LaunchBox, though Farron has a lot of experience. We still would like to hear back from everyone if they have any ideas for just growing our stream. The more we get out of it, the more we can put into it, just like everything else. So feedback, all the feedback. We love to hear from you guys, and ladies. And if you want to use Discord or the forums or our support emails or other things as yet discussed, we love to hear that sort of stuff. LaunchBox is what it is today because of almost 12 years now of feedback. Awesome. So this is our new schedule. I'm doing this one right now. Probably be on for a couple of hours total. We'll see. And yeah, we'll get back to my list here. So I'm just going to go very quickly. That's where I got distracted, my tangent. Very quickly over these because I think Brian's going to do a much deeper dive. But Windows, there's a beta out there. Our general focus for this beta or this release is just cleaning up some technical debt and looking at some performance and memory consumption and some behind the scenesy things, along with some enhancements. So if you haven't checked the betas out, please do. There's some pretty substantive behind the scenes work that's happening to get those enhancements, and we don't want to find bugs after it's released. And while we do a pretty good job testing, every single one of you have some different device or computer or setup, and we always find things during the beta testing phase, and unfortunately sometimes after release, and we like to prevent that as much as possible. But this one will see the official .NET 9 upgrade come to light, and we also are currently exploring the idea that we could switch our SQL XML database for the GamesDB data, and I can dive into this a little bit, moving it over to SQLite. And I don't know what the proper casing is for this. Maybe it's always lowercase. As you probably know, if I go to my LaunchBox folder here, which I'll do off camera real quick just to get to the right spot. Gosh, there we go. This folder, your LaunchBox folder, there's a bunch of folders in the folder, and in that folder there's some files, and all of this information is being pulled down. As you can see, these dates, I haven't used this particular instance of LaunchBox, it looks like in more than a month, but usually on the daily, once a day, we update these files, and all of this information is stuff we're pulling from our GamesDB. And so as our very generous with their time contributors, if you've decided ever to click on one of these buttons, edit, or even the mark for deletion, or upload picture, anytime any of this data gets updated, it ends up on your computer via a combination of these files. And as you can tell, this one is pretty hefty. This is basically the whole database, and I don't even want to try to open it up, but it's just an XML data file with crap tons of data in it. And we are switching bits and pieces of this out, primarily this main one that causes this file over to SQLite. And along for the ride, because it's a SQL-based database instead of an XML file, we have a lot more opportunities to prevent loading the whole thing all at once. And so memory footprint should be a lot better. But these two big infrastructure changes are being made along with the other things in the changelog for the next release. And so more testers are welcome. Android had its big infrastructure update on its last release, currently in beta as well, I believe, with some random updates. Again, testing so far so good with that. Not a lot. The big call out for that one is our X4ML guy that shows up in the chat once in a while, lead developer on the Android version. Lots of positive feedback on the NAS features. So that's been exciting. But behind the scenes, we also updated to Maui from Xamarin, which went over honestly a lot better than I was worried about when we first announced that. Next up for this one are some cleanups from this big infrastructure update, along with some enhancements and various other things that should hopefully keep the Android version moving forward. GamesDB is seeing a lot of work too. We have brought on board a new developer to help with this. Behind the scenes, GamesDB is a .NET project with a lot of it's an old MVC style .NET project, and we're currently in the process of adding in some Vue.js, Next.js magic, and updating .NET. Blah blah blah. More to come there. The developer is now a week old with respect to working at LaunchBox, but has been able to jump in right away. Scarmy, if you're in the chat, say hi. If not, you guys might see Ska Army, Scarmy, in the communities and the chats as well. And he's responsible for some of the enhancements that you're going to see with the GamesDB coming down the pipe. And Unbroken Software. This is honestly where this is coming from, as to what we're working on here. But behind the scenes, we're doing a lot. We do more than just create products. We support all these products, and we also have our www site, the place you go by and deal with licensing. We have the GamesDB, we have the forums, we have lots of things that the apps themselves that we have to provide regular and responsive support to. So if you've ever heard from one of the team members or used our support email, there's a lot that goes into that. And the one thing that we've noticed kind of sucks right now is this login is not the same as this login, which is not the same as if we were to have a third system and the www site doesn't have a login at all. It just you can just go through a purchase process, and you can use your email address as kind of like a fake login as well. And so today I was hoping to dive into what it would take to create a single sign-on server and see as far as I can get down that, with the idea that all of these things would eventually be able to use it, because even the apps allow you to log in with your GamesDB account so that you can sync playtime and favorites and stuff through that. And it'd be nice if it was all using one account, but also it'd be nice if your license was tied to that same account and your ability to get into the forums was tied into that account. And something that we're exploring, we also have this thing. I don't know, how do I make my font size smaller? We have Bitbucket. None of us like this thing. I dare not even show it on this because I know it's going to be recorded forever. But we have a Bitbucket. I don't use Firefox regularly, so let me get the... Oh, it's just a link, I think, on these. Request a feature. Oh, and I'm going to have to log in. But we have a Bitbucket account. Let me just do that off camera here real quick. Find it, please. This has been around since the very beginning, Bitbucket, and it, oh geez, multi-factor authentication. Hold on, I don't even have my email open. I closed it. Oh gosh, email. It's been around forever, and it's a bit of a mess. Honestly, it's useful. We still use it. I wouldn't say it's useless. It's just a little bit of a mess. All right, back to here, because there's just a lot of issues, and it's still active. We still get postings on the regular, and we do respond to postings on the regular. But there's also, like, if I clicked on this last 237 pages, there's a lot of things, and it's a combination. There's a lot of reasons for that. Combination of they're good ideas, we just haven't gotten to them, and we don't want to lose them, or it slipped through the cracks, and we don't have a really clean workflow for making sure that nothing ends up buried at the end, or it's a bug, and we're not entirely sure it's fixed because we have to get feedback from customers or right? A million different reasons why this list has gotten a lot bigger. And we want to do something about that. Everyone who takes the time to come to one of these things and ask for help needs it, right? They want it. There's something going on with their situation. And all of these things for us can be broken down into kind of three issues. There's bugs, right? Something I'm trying to do isn't working, but it should. There's feature requests of something I'm trying to do doesn't exist, and I want it to. And then last but not least, there's just sort of support on related products. Like this emulator isn't working, or this thing that I'm trying to do, my LED blinky or whatever it is, my third party thing isn't working, that ultimately we can't do a whole lot about, but we can sometimes help. We are looking to replace Bitbucket with a new tool, and we are thinking of, instead of trying to build something ourselves, just using something that's available. And so I want to make sure that at some point we can tie it into our single sign-on. And so it's become a thing, and we want to focus on it at some point, and I thought today would be a good day to get started in that. Awesome. I think that's good. So I'm gonna do some single sign-on, but of course, if you have any questions about LaunchBox itself, or LaunchBox for Android, or the GamesDB, or our websites, or any of our technology that we use or don't use, do ask. More than willing to distract myself with dealing with those questions. All right, let's jump in. So as a whole, we are a .NET Microsoft-based organization. We really like the ecosystem. It works for us. All of our developers are proficient in .NET, and we want to keep it that way as much as possible. But for web stuff, we are, like I said above, incorporating some of the JavaScript framework world with the introduction of Vue.js. And so the way that we're going to be setting these things setting these up is to have a .NET based API with Vue.js powering front ends when we build them, or whatever if we're using some third-party tool, but they would all need to go through these .NET APIs. And so I really want a authentication solution that we can build off of the GamesDB that would allow us to integrate with all the things, but I'd like it to be .NET. There's a few options out there that I've played with, and if anybody has any experience in this world, love to hear feedback, because none of it's obvious. This is one tool that I'm considering. There's also Identity Server 4, which is a freely available open source thing. They have a paid version, so that's option 3, is we decide to spend money on a paid version of something. And then there's Identity Server 8, yeah. So when this company decided to start charging money, at some point somebody's like, I don't want to pay the money, so I'm going to take what Identity Server 4 was and just update it to the latest. Not so sure about this one. It looks like it was DOA. Like if we look at the source code, they did a big commit a year ago and haven't touched it since, which maybe that's fine. Maybe it was good enough, but it doesn't feel well supported. And Identity Server 4, similarly, they're not working on it anymore. They've moved their attention to their for-profit company, and while that does look like a really great product, it's not inexpensive to use what they have. It's thousands of dollars. Did I break LB again? Not yet. Working on it. It's in the plan to break it. Which leaves me to this one, which is a little bit more active. Also free and open source, which we'd love to support. And it seems to be, but it's not like a file new, get a project and you're done. It would be a little bit of work. And so hopefully we can get through some of that work today. But I think it ticks all the boxes of what we need in a solution that we could integrate with our GamesDB and our forums and the app itself for the minimal use cases where you do have to log in and for the new bug reporting system, we're strongly considering a tool like this. I don't know exactly which one we're going to pick, but all of these tools that we're looking at support some kind of single sign-on, and we'd love to give everyone a single login. So nothing that we will, it doesn't, and it's weird because it doesn't like directly improve your usage of LaunchBox itself, except in certain instances where it improves it greatly. And so we're hoping that the investment is a nice to have for most people, but a really necessary to have for people that find themselves in a situation where they can't get to their license, or they can't, they need help and to get support and to use our tooling for that. Oh, Focus, we've missed you too. Focus types, how have you been? You've missed the last few streams. Life happened. Isn't that the truth, right? Life. I will admit that I lost a week of my life because a friend of mine suggested I play a game, and I played the game a lot. Too much. I don't even want to put it on camera because I don't want anybody else to fall into that. But I've been good. I really enjoyed losing that week to that game, and I've enjoyed catching back up for the new year and diving into all of the great plans that we have for the year. I guess there was one that was on here that I didn't mention. It hasn't seen like a huge amount of work since last time we talked, but the Linux stuff is on here as well. still work in progress. Still making some progress, but we did have to divert some of our attention to some of these other projects for a cycle, just to make sure we continue to make progress there. But I've been good, been busy. Life also happened for me and for us, and the work that I'm going to do today is part of that life of like, sometimes we have to clean up the work that we don't want to do for fear of, you know, never doing it and never getting to a point where it makes sense. It was not a Civ game. I haven't played Civ since 5. I played the heck out of 5. 6 did not interest me. 7 looks interesting, like, so I'm trying to avoid it. No, it was a factory building game. It was Satisfactory. It's basically a first-person hybrid of Factorio and Minecraft. If you haven't seen it at all, it's a very beautiful world. Too beautiful, I think, for a factory game, to be honest, because you spend your time exploring the world just as much as you do building factories. And I like automation, like games. Conveyor belts give me joy. Yeah. And it's one of those games. It's not one more turn. It's just like, I'm going to do this quick project. And then now it's 4 in the morning. Like, oh gosh, that was not a quick project. Okay, back to OpenID. So if you're not in single sign-in at all, the world, OpenID is a wrapper around OAuth that allows you to connect sites. Behind the scenes, it uses magic and tokens and various other things. But ultimately, it's a way for 2 sites to share credentials without actually sharing credentials, so everything stays nice and clean. It's been around forever. It's kind of the standard for non-enterprise solutions. And even for enterprise solutions, I think it's going to eventually replace things like SAML, hopefully, because SAML is terrible. And the only thing that SAML gives you, it's like a truly federated login system, which this isn't that fancy, but it was never intended to be that fancy. But it powers all of the login with Google and login with Facebook and login with GitHub and Discord. All those login withs ultimately use this, which is part of the reason I want to use it as well, because I think having a Discord login would be really great for some of our tools as well, along with, you know, Google and yeah, really those two I think are the big ones. Google and Discord would be really great to support in our ecosystem as well. As I understand it, OpenIddict, I hope I don't have to say that out loud too often. It's awkward to say. Too many hard sounds. Is a framework for building a thing, as opposed to being a thing, which I like because it allows us to sort of integrate it with what we have. For purposes of today, I'm just going to file new and start going through it, and we'll see where we end up. So let's move this off here. This is our GamesDB project. Oh, did I make changes? Not intentionally. No, I did not. So the GamesDB website itself, all of its associated databasey things, and some APIs that we support, all are in here. And I'm just gonna add a new project in here and see how far we get. I got about an hour ahead of me with respect to working on this, and so we will see. All right. So I know for sure it's a web project, so let's just do some filters. Web. C#. Don't care. I think this is probably where we're going to start. One of these two. I think they're the same, except this one has... That's weird that that's not just a checkbox. But let's go here. And it's all going to go there. We'll use our naming convention. I should bring the chat back up. All right, unbroken.web. And really, this is going to be the login for everything. And so I don't need it to be the games database, but we'll just call it nice and boring authentication. And it looks like maybe I already played in that folder. Yeah, it looks like back in November I file nude something as well, but it doesn't look like I did anything with it. So let's just delete that. Okay, so we want to use the latest and greatest. That's great. HTTPS is fine. Probably will play with doing it in containers at some point, but for now, don't really care. Controllers, I think for this purposes, it'll be better than minimal APIs. And all looks great. Okay. Looking at the names of the packages that I'll need. So Focus, what have you been up to? What? Any, other than life happening? What's been happening? You add another 50,000 games to your collection? Oh, they just call it OpenIddict. Nice. I think it says we're gonna need a few things. We are gonna want to use entity framework, which uses that. So let's add you. And that should honestly bring in most of what we need. Nice. So I never know. How do you say it? Is it go dot Godot? Got it. Got it. There's so many options. Our new web dev guy that I think I talked about before you joined in, as I understand it, he's been working on a game as well, also using, and I think he said Godot, but he's Canadian, so they probably French everything. All right, what did we get in here? We got Entity Framework Core. We also need, because we're doing the server, ASP.NET Core. So as a framework, OpenID allows for the creation of servers or clients. We're going to end up using both eventually, but for now we're setting up the server, which is a little bit more work, but it'll allow us to host our own open OAuth server. You say Godot, Godot. I've been tempted off and on my whole life to do a game. Are you enjoying, because it sounds like it's new concept to you of game dev. Are you enjoying the mystery of it, or is it just frustrating, or like where are you at in the process? I think this is all of the references I need. Nice. Don't know why there's not a direct link to the NuGet package, but I will do this. Just want to see what we're up against with refreshes. Oh, it looks like version 6 is brand new. Well, that's good. We get to be an early adopter. Okay. So we have the requisite, requisite packages, I think. So the GamesDB has its own database, of course, its own SQL database behind the scenes. And most of that is represented in here using a very, very old Jason Carr specialty ORM system that if he's on, it's beautiful, it's fantastic. I wish you could use it everywhere, but if he's not, we're actually thinking of and moving to Entity Framework core, because we love to use supported projects, and in this case a supported project by a very large company, and it works really well. I've used it in many professional capacities, and it's super easy to actually get in and use it, and we're trying to adopt Entity Framework core for all of our projects. For purposes of just getting something to work in this thing, I'm going to ignore our database and do the integration work later. And so for that, I'm going to create a my own DB context here, but this will tie into, oops, I want to put it in a folder. It'll tie into the other database stuff, but authentication will live and breathe exclusively within this one for purposes of talking to a database. And so I think this honestly makes sense to keep it separate as well. New cleanliness that we can do. So much cleaner. But we can create our application DB context, which in our case, we're actually going to just use .NET's context for... Oh, I think I created this project. I could have created this. All right, let me just recycle what I just did real quick, because I think I missed a checkbox earlier. It'll take all of 10 seconds because I won't talk about it as I'm doing it. Godot, mate. All right, so so focus, you're working on the game. You would think making a point and click would be easy and straightforward. And things like dealing with a controller should be easy, but it's a mess. But you are loving it because it's rewarding. Of course it is. The technical part makes me want to smash things. Yes. It sounds like programming in a nutshell. I don't know of a programmer who just loves to program for the sake of never seeing the end result. Like, I just want to write code. I don't ever want to see it work. Because for me, at least, that's really that's really the part. Optional support. I must have missed a box. Yeah. Unbroken.web.authentication. Authentication. It's a drop down. Okay. I don't remember them adding a choice here. I think we want to use that one. I think that's the coded version of the thing. That's fine. We'll deal with it if not. What else did I change? I think everything else is set up good. Create. Okay. Oh no, this is the wrong one. That's the actual online thing. Well, we don't want that. I don't want to use Windows either. There was a thing in my previous world. There was a thing where I could just choose ASP.NET Core stuff. Whatever. That's why we do it live, so nothing makes sense. This one. All right, we're just gonna deal with it. We'll add stuff ourselves later. Yeah. Everyone's like, you can make a game without coding these days. Liars. All of them. Yeah, who needs coders anymore? Because you could just... They got this cute little help tooltip thing here. I get it. I don't want to use either of those, I don't think. I don't want to use Windows login. I'm just going to type code. Just type code. It's fine. Manage NuGet. All right, back to this. All right, we needed this. Yes. Yeah, nowadays, like, you could just hook AI up to your GitHub and just tell it what you want, and you end up with all the code written, and hook it up to your feedback tool to fix bugs for you automatically. Don't need coders. And game dev, yeah, it's just drag and drop. It's just done. I think I missed, what I actually missed was adding the right packages. So we want to add the Microsoft identity, also entity framework bits here. And that will give us what we need. Give or take. Okay, what did I get? I got you, I got you, I got you. And this one brings along for the ride that and that. We also need this guy. So in Godot, or Godot, mate, have you been using its scripting language? I'm guessing that's what AGS is in there. I could have sworn it also supported .NET. Game Noob. I've used one of those game makers before. I think I played a long time ago. It was probably a dozen years ago now, but I used, what was it, RPG Maker? I really wanted to create like a JRPG, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, sort of old pixel sprite, 2D isometric view sort of thing. And I got so far as to make a character walking around because the engine makes that a lot easier. But yeah, as soon as you hit one of those walls, sometimes you have to like change your game to meet the framework, as opposed to making it work, because you're just limited with all the things that it can do. Okay, I'm gonna stop adding projects. I think that's enough for now. So we'll go back to creating our thing. As far as timeline for what I'm doing here, my goal is to get a super basic version of this thing working with no tie to anything else. Not necessarily by the end of the stream, but today. I feel like I want to just wrap that up today, and then probably spend another day tying it in with existing login stuff. So instead of using instead of using these Microsoft-y hosted ones, we do have our own login. We have our own user account and password, and it's inspired based off of these same pieces, and so it should be an integration that's pretty easy to move around. Just have to make it work. But I think that won't take more than like a day. Use primary constructor. What do those look like? I haven't played with this. This is like a newish for me. So it moves it to the top. Do I like that? That's confusing. Okay. It's confusing just because I've never seen it before, but it is cleaner. Like, there's no reason not to use it. So you've been using the Godot script. Focus has been using the Godot script, and you're relearning, and you just want to move some sprites around. Inventory system and a save load function. So what, maybe you mentioned it and I missed it, but like, what kind of game are you aiming for? What is your inspirational game, I guess, that you're hoping to use? So I know we need that in most projects. We need that in most projects. In our case, probably not yet, because this should call all of the .NET. So I might not need this for now, because I'm not going to add any my own objects quite yet. And this, we often need to hook up our this thing, which we'll figure out at some point. I'm just copying and pasting. But we'll store that in our settings. Nice. Are you an artist too? Or are you using library of assets for the pretties? I think that's where I fell down originally, because there wasn't a lot of that stuff available easily, at least to my accessibility at the time. And so like as soon as I needed artwork, I spent more time trying to like source that thing instead of actually working on the game. And I had trouble creating it with like placeholder images because my brain doesn't work quite like that. All right, and then we got to add some crap in here to get Entity Framework working. Here. Yeah, this thing. Oh, I guess we can specify the connection string here instead of this. So I don't need you at all. Thanks for your help. Nice. And I'm sure there's more to that, but this should be fine. I never know how I want these sort of Lambda functions to look. So think Monkey Island's King's Quest kind of thing, but with a serious story. So you want to write a story, great. That was the fun part when I was working on the game that I was working on, was the story writing. I had actually written it as a story first, like for some school project, I think maybe it was. No, this was after school. But I had written a story at some point. I'm like, I want to turn that story into a game. And it was inspired by the Pillars of Earth. Nice. I have not played that. I have played King's Quest, Monkey Island stuff, but not that. There's this guy on the internet that I follow on Twitter, X or whatever, for no reason. I have no idea why I follow him, but his name's Kenny. His name's Kenny. And he just makes assets for art. I think you can hire him, but he also just has like a huge library of his own things, which I've seen good things about. Are you going for pixely or 3D pixely or actual polygons? Yeah, and then we have to add all the identity stuff. Oh geez, all this autocomplete stuff makes me feel simpleton. It's like, what am I doing other than just hitting tab as a developer? Maybe that's all we get to do anymore, is just hit tab. Well, that looks good now there, but I don't know about this lambda here. What do you suggest if I do that? No, that looks... maybe I can live with that. This little music I got going on in the background. A little head beat to it. I do often miss the free game on Epic. I hardly ever think of them as a company, and I never check. And every time I log into Twitch, I'm reminded that I need to go get my free Amazon ones. I had a feature idea of LaunchBox should just at least tell me about the free stuff that I'm not getting. Between Humble, not that that's free, not that any of them are free, you're paying somehow or another, but between Humble and Amazon Prime and Epic and all the other ones that have the occasional free thing, Steam I guess too, be nice just to be told about them so I can go click the buttons. Okay, so I think I need to remember how to do a connection string to a local database, but we're just writing code. Not gonna make it super far today. I talked too much at the beginning. All right, so now I get to look at the documentation for OpenIddict to see what the starting point for it is. Need to go look to see how they intend you to pronounce that. All right, and we need to tell it to use entity framework and which, because I think the great thing about doing it this way versus trying to plug it into the other one is I'll guarantee that everything works before I can blame myself. So now I can blame somebody else for the time being. All right, so we added the basics. Now we're going to tell it we want a server. This is where we get choices. So what is the autocomplete telling me? I don't know if I want to trust autocomplete at this one. I do want this first one, so maybe I should trust maybe I should trust it. Oh, the dot should go here, Josh. Okay, line art, perfect. I love pencil art sort of games. Okay, well, love to see it whenever you have anything to see. I like checking out that level of game. And I can be as opinionated or quiet as you need me to be. All right, that should get us the basics of an identity server. And then there's some things they suggest for development purposes, just to make life easier. Let's add, we have one of those. Go back and put proper signatures on everything. I don't know what this one does. Disables. It is not recommended. Well, that is entirely true. We're going to be issuing these tokens to third-party resources that we don't control and don't fully trust, which is true. So even though it's not recommended, I have to do it. Well, cubes that don't do anything are better than no cubes that don't do anything. So you're making progress. I don't even have cubes yet over here. I just have some words on a page that I couldn't hit play to. So no cubes. So many settings. You'd think some of these things it could just do by default. But I guess you get to control everything. in a previous life, I worked with a consulting company and had to do lots of authentication and single sign-on and all the things. And it was always like a rock, paper, scissors at the company as to who had to work on it. I always lost because I was the only one that ever had experience with it. What are you suggesting here? Enable logout. All right, the documentation is suggesting something that doesn't exist. How is that possible? Documentation is always right. Okay, well, we'll comment it out. Maybe it was an older version and it's slightly missing it. We'll keep that in there just to remind me that I need to go look to see what the replacement for that is. Okay. I think I can live with that squiggle. And then I also need to tell Entity Framework about OpenIddict. I'm assuming this will all make sense at some point too. Code. All right, so I'm setting up Entity Framework to use a SQL database that doesn't exist yet. And I'm also telling Entity Framework to use this. It's got its own tables and things, so obviously we're gonna need that. We're setting up identity, just basically. We're setting up OpenIddict to be a server with a bunch of settings, and I think that should get us a database. So now we can, oh gosh, fonts. I haven't even zoomed in. I hope you guys can see everything. Beyond satisfactory, getting sucked into that for Christmas. The family got the new, it's not new, but it's new enough for me. The hell's it called? The new Mario platformer, Wonder. I think it's called Wonder. And I did play the first chunk of that over the weekend, first time, and I haven't played a new Mario game since, well, I did play Odyssey, but what was the last platformer? Was it the Wii U one? I think they had the Wii U one. I don't remember playing that one. But I think there was one for the Wii as well that I did play. I can't remember, but I didn't realize how absolutely bizarre the world is. Like the flowers, they sing and they like talk to you. It feels like you're walking through somebody's like hallucination or trip. Like some good drugs went into creating this world, because it's simultaneously like just trippy and bizarre and crazy like that, but it's still just a Mario game. And I was trying to like really experience the game for how they intend me to experience it, but I was just having a hard time with the ridiculously happy flowers and creatures just giving me like support. They were like talking to me. I guess I'm not used to Mario games talking to me. Like at all. It's usually just some noises and some math. All right, so we're gonna do some migrations. Let's see if I can remember the. Oh, what's the syntax? I only do this when I need it. Is it migrations add or is it add migration? Oh, well, don't do that. I didn't name it. So initial. Create. This is the one that we'll have to merge and garbage into the existing site when we're there. If this works, there's a good chance that I got the syntax wrong. So is it migration add? No. All right. What are my commands? Why is this thing stupid? I would go. No. Yeah. Yeah. Go there. Go there. Migrations. That's plural. I'm a fan of those tools. I think Unix does this. Linux environments do this a lot, where it detects that you typoed, that you didn't type something. Git commands do this, where you type something wrong, and it's like, that doesn't exist, but I'm guessing you meant this. Just write in the error message. Like when Google says, you don't know how to spell, did you mean this? You're like, yes, I did. So migrations add, initial, create. Again, garbage that we'll throw away later once we merge it into a real project. You played LSD Dream Simulator on PS1. I have never heard of this. Let's see if it's on the GamesDB. Dream Simulator. Oh, it looks like it might be missing, or I spelled something wrong. Oh, there it is. Dream Emulator, right? Is it this? Oh gosh, huge. No, over here. No, oh my gosh, Windows. Go here. Okay. This looks fun. I'm a big fan of this. It probably, like, I have no idea about the game at all, but I just feel like it's a thing that exists that doesn't need to at all. Like, not the game, but this scene right here. Like, I'm guessing this dude is unimportant completely, but it's just really interesting. And it's there, and maybe the building is unimportant, but it's just there. That's funny. It looks like they did. Lucy in the Sky. Well, that's what LSD stands for, of course. Lucy in the Sky with Dynamics. This looks amazing. I might have to see if I have this in the list of games that I have that I don't know that I have, as we all do. I know you know that feeling, Focus. Like, oh, I didn't know I had this. All right, in LSD, the player navigates through a psychedelic dream world. Walk around and explore things. Okay, there's a graph that appears and the states are upper, downer. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Somebody had drugs, enjoyed them, and like everybody should have drugs and enjoy them without doing the drugs and not enjoying the things. Oh gosh. Okay, well, I'll deal with this later. This is not fun. I forgot how to update these tools. I can at least do that. Oh, that is not at all what I copied and pasted, computer. This is dumb because you can't press Control C. You have to press that stupid little button. Oh, well, look at that. Why couldn't the error message just give me that little thing? Okay, well, we'll at least get the other error, which is getting a proper thing in there. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Again, I thought the project template would give me a little bit of the starter kit. I don't remember the syntax for like using SQLite. I guess the internet does exist. All right, I want to do a getting started guide just real quick, just to read. Okay, so we can try to add a new NuGet package. Yes, I would like this. No, I would this. But yes, Andrew, Entity Framework is a pain in the butt. But it's better than all the other pains in the butt choices that I've found. Apparently docking things in Visual Studio is a pain in the butt. I would like you to go into that same tab as everything else. Why are we getting these things? This thing? No. I don't know which one of these is supposed to be. I think it's this one. There we go. Oh my gosh. No, it's put it up here. How do I get you to go as a tab to this thing? Right here. No. Oh, it's the center of this one. No, now it's its own little thing. This is so dumb. Oh my gosh. Well, aren't you guys glad we don't have any dockable things? Okay, I think I figured. No, I didn't figure it out. Oh, this is what I don't know where this is at. I don't think I'm smart enough to figure this out. I'm making it worse. Okay, clearly it's not that bottom one. Definitely not that one. Is it this one? I still have 2 rows. And why did these keep popping out? I don't like it. I'm just gonna stop clicking on things. Just gonna stop clicking on things. Alright, so if I go back over here, and then instead of saying use SQL Server, I tell it to use SQLite, then I don't need the connection string. I can just say data source equals some path, which I can just hard code a path for the time being. One thing I don't like about Visual Studio is this menu. There's so many choices there, I never can find the right one. All right, and we're just gonna hard code that right into right here, just for now. So you're going there, and we're just gonna call it data.db. Okay, perfect. So now can we do that? I could just close them and open them from the view menu. It should pin them to the bottom. Yes, I feel like I should be smart enough to figure out these little things though. I really do. I don't know why they... I'm just gonna do this. I think this is working. Somehow these are like there, but not there. And this is doing something. Okay, now they're all in one little thing. The way I like it. Then I lost what I was trying to do. Hey, it made a migration. No, it didn't. Yeah, it did. Well, let's go look at it. Okay, so it created a table. Beautiful. Another table. Beautiful. It created all the things. I was more interested to look at what these things were to see what sort of data structures this OpenID thing is going to connect with. So we have an application, which I assume is like an external, like a client, which has the basics of an OAuth setup here. We have scopes, which we'll never use, but we have them. Back to ASP.NET, ASP.NET, ASP.NET. Don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. OpenID authorizations. Okay. I don't think we'll be using those, but I think those are for like when you have the, if I wanted to let other people say log in with LaunchBox button, which I can't think of a situation where anybody would want to do that, but if we did, I guess we could support that. Tokens make sense. And then a bunch of .NET E things, indexes to make everything nice and speedy. Perfect. All right, so we have a database. And if I were to run that entity framework command, I think it would actually create the database. Do I care about doing that right now? I don't know. I don't think so. All right, back to my little guide from their site, or the sample that I'm looking at. Okay, they do suggest to create the database, so we'll do that. They're using the old commands, and so I'm trying to commit. Is it update? Probably not. Oh, it did. We have a database. Nice. 100% Visual Studio does not have a SQLite viewer. That's fine. That's one thing I don't have on my computer right now, I don't think. SQLite viewer. Might be an online one. It's a portable edition one. Ooh, a SQLite viewer web app. Let's give that a go. There's nothing proprietary in my database yet, so I can just use the website. Drag that. Nice. Focus is the Blue Sky emulation expert. I installed Blue Sky back when it first became interesting. I can't remember. I think it was like right after old Musk bought Twitter. Blue Sky became like super popular for a couple of weeks, and I created an account and I played over there a little bit. I don't use social media much other than to just read things. And I honestly didn't find the right set of connections over on Blue Sky to have anything interesting to read. So who knows? Probably my own doing. But we have tables, no data, but that's cool. So we have all the ASP.NET ones. Why these are sorted like this, probably in the order it was created. Whoever wants it in that order, but I kind of just wanted to see that it did its thing. Perfect. Nice. All right, back to my little guide here. We zoomed forward. Oh, they do have one setting that I did not do. Again, why there can't be intelligent defaults for all these things? I wonder, now that I did that. Nope, enable degraded mode. Nice. I have a very curated list of people I follow on X, Twitter, and it's honestly not bad. As long as I don't click on the For You page, if I only stay on my little following page, my little own echo chamber, which is exclusively like some game news, some tech news, absolutely no regular news or political news or any of that stuff. And so I use it as like a modern RSS feed of things I might want to read on. And as soon as somebody starts posting out of their lane, in my eyes, of like, I'm not interested in your takes on fitness or weight loss or growing subscriber counts or any of the things that people tend to fall into once they become a little popular, I just get rid of them. And it largely works. Somehow or another, Elon himself still pops up into my feed. I'm guessing that he has some overrides to make sure his stuff is seen, because I don't follow him. Not that I don't like him, Well, I don't, but it's not that I don't like him. He doesn't post anything that's useful for me. And I tried to keep my Twitter very useful. It thinks that we are ready to start writing actual user management code. Really? Okay. Just for purposes, I'm just going to add it to this lovely little weather forecast controller that it created for me, and I'll rename it. Delete all this stuff. We don't need any of that. Probably don't need this. And we'll just because we're playing around, largely just wanted to play around today to see if it's something we want to do, because there are choices, as I mentioned at the beginning, of what route we go. We have a first time chatter, Klutz. I like the name, Klutz 450. We are working on, I'm experimenting, I guess, with a piece of technology that will let us have a single sign-on server. So super technically, I'm using the OpenID DICT, OpenIddict. There's got to be a way to say that. OpenIddict sounds best, I guess. .NET package that will let us set up an OAuth server with the goal of hosting our own single sign-on solution so that we could eventually, and by eventually I mean soon, tie together logins from GamesDB, forums, and some third-party sites so that we can finally, and especially our license system, www. So that we can have a single login. Because right now people have to have a GamesDB account, they have to have a forums account. There is no account here, and so they have to remember what email address they used. And as we're exploring using some third-party SaaS products, they would have their own login, and it'd be lovely if people could just have their LaunchBox account that they use for all the things. And so I'm seeing how easy it is to get to a point where we could possibly use that. Yes, I am breaking LB again. Thanks, Focus. The confidence really gets me through the day. Your trust in my ability. All right, so we're just going to create some fake little methods here. We'll just have a little register account thing. I just want to get something to work, just to see if we could do that, and then we'll see if we could just test. What else would we want to test? I guess if we get to a point where it's creating an account in the next 10 minutes, then I'll say we have a successful thing here. And this would return, I guess, a bool, I guess, which we have to wrap up in that little thingamajig. Just, is that the right way to do it? Oh, it's a task. It's an async. All right, we want to return a bool. Okay, so we are going to go real lazy. And we need to do the thing. We need to make sure the database, well, the database got created. We saw it get created because the migration got ran. But we can call it, which means we need to also pass in our application DB context so that we can actually, we'll just do that real quick. Is that not the right? That's got to be right. Oh, it's, no, I could have sworn that was right. I know the database is there. I'm not gonna piddle with doing that temporarily anyway. So Klutz, never learned how to code, is way over your head. Well, I could put some things on the screen for you to look at. Well, my face is there. That's not over your head. I could be taller than you, I suppose. I've been coding since I can remember. 6 years old, I think I accidentally typed my first line of code and used it to hack the game of Monopoly, I believe. And ever since then, I live and breathe coding, where every problem, and developers, I think, around the world can relate to this, where I see everything in the world sort of from a developer's perspective. Like, for example, I needed to boring stuff, right? I had to enter some transactions into QuickBooks the other day, and I was like, wow, I have like 20 of these things to enter, which would probably take me, 10 minutes if I just got my numpad out and just type real fast. Or I could spend all day writing some code so that I don't have to create those 20 entries myself, which is what I did. It didn't take me all day, but it took me 4 hours. Well, theoretically, then next time I won't have to type those 20 because they're going to come up every quarter. But yeah, that's how I see the world. I remember one time walking out of a movie, and it was an enjoyable movie, and I was curious what the people I went with thought of the movie. And so I'd asked the person that I was with, like, I wonder what the other users thought of that. Just everything's from programming models, and so people are users. Anywho, I'm just gonna accept the autocomplete stuff. It's probably wrong, but I'm just gonna have it do that so I can feel it out. So we're using .NET's identity model, passing in a username as the email. We will then, yeah, it's just a 20 count loop easy. And it's so janky. Focus, I think you'll appreciate this. So QuickBooks, they have an API, but I think you have to spend the better part of a week trying to figure out how to access their API, because I'm using QuickBooks Online, and there's no like easy way to just start using the API. You have to create like this whole application, and they have to approve it, and I didn't want to deal with any of that. And I'm like, well, it's only 20 transactions that I only have to do 4 times a year, so I'm just going to resort to the oldest method of integration in the book. I used send keys. So I wrote a script to generate basically an auto hotkey script with the text from the thing in it that I used from the whatever. So I ended up just having the computer type the 20 transactions for me instead of doing anything more elegant. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. So as your analogy goes, I had boxes on a screen. Ugly, but they were filling themselves out with send keys, and it worked out. Okay, so because we're using, that's what I'm confused about here, because we're using .NET, we also need this user manager thing. Yeah. It worked. Don't judge. Don't. So I may not actually need this after all. Oops. What does this return? It returns results. I did realize that I could have done that after I wrote all that. I honestly, I went into this thinking I could probably use the API, and then I got to the point where I couldn't. I think this is it. This should be enough. And I'm like, well, I already wrote all this code and I just want to use it quickly because I'm sick of dealing with this. So that's where send keys came in. And it was dumb because QuickBooks Online is terrible. It's a terrible piece of software. I don't know how Intuit makes as much money as they do. Like, it works, it does all the things, but it's just got bad user experience in all cases. It is not designed. So QuickBooks Desktop, the old desktop program, was ugly, but it was gorgeous with how usable it was. You could just type as fast as you possibly could, and everything just worked, and you'd get the little chunk noise from your computer because it used the actual sound, the little speaker that came on motherboards back in the day. It was just a beautiful piece of software in that it was highly efficient. QuickBooks Online is the opposite of that. You have to like wait for drop downs to complete, and it's built like web applications often are, but it was supposed to replace something that let bookkeepers type incredibly fast. And so I had to program all those little, like, all right, wait for the website to catch up little moments in the script. And so it turned into more of a mess than it needed to, but it worked consistently for all 20 of those transactions. I didn't type a single one myself. I did have to delete a couple of bad entries as I learned about the UI, but all right, so I think this will work. In theory. There used to be, there's like this little HTTP file thing that you can do now. We can just type in URLs in here, but I don't actually know what the URL is going to be. So let's set this as our startup project and just hit play to see what we get. Anyways, Klutz, glad you able to make it in without the coding experience. I would say that over the course of all the streams I have planned, many of them will be code heavy, but a lot of them might be a mix of code heavy things along with just diving into how things work and behind the scenes on the technical front. So glad you're able to make it. I'm trying to find the browser that I think it opened. I'll just do it again. I didn't see anything pop up. So I think you'll still enjoy it. Oh, it's down here. Okay, so we care about this guy. I think if we just say the name of our little endpoint here, which is probably still, so it's test/register account. We can pass in some details, set ourselves a breakpoint, hit send, get a 404, because of course. Am I adding the controllers? I am mapping controllers. Oh, it's probably how did it send it? It sent as a get or a post? It's probably the controller itself. Just for getting it to work, let's just set that up. Focus says that the only productivity app that hasn't changed is Excel. You know, you're right. I mostly right. I think I still use Excel on a regular basis. I probably overuse it. There's a lot of times where I could do something else, but just it's just such a convenient, usable tool. Yeah, I agree. I like that. All right, Klutz is apologizing preemptively. Are you Canadian? But he doesn't want to mix up. But if I have a moment, you would like to ask some questions. Well, just consider it an open opportunity. I'm a highly distracted programmer here. I've typed all of 20 lines of code in this whole stream. So by all means, do post those. I think these streams are less about watching me code. You can get that from a lot of streamers. It's more of just the community. So please share. I forget what I was doing. See? Distracted already. All right, so I modified that. That's what I did, so that I can try this again. Still a 404. Is this dumb where it puts all the APIs behind an API thing? My usual solution to not knowing what the routes are is to turn on like Swagger or something so that it can show me what the endpoints it's creating are. But I feel like it should just work, you know? Well, just in case. What if I just say start at the root? Get rid of whatever other assumptions you're gonna make and do that. Yeah. Nothing. I'm new to this thing too. I'm not super familiar with what's actually happening here. I guess I could just load it up. Okay, it gave me something. Maybe. Getting 404s on the site. That makes sense. All right, I should have kept the weather controller, the weather tester. All right, we're just gonna get rid of all opportunities for confusion. Oh. Register account. I guess gets can't return. Well, they can return stuff. Oh, I am not passing in the right query string. Oh no, it's correct. Not that. Let's make sure I didn't misspell something. It's dumb when this is a thing that doesn't work. What am I missing? This is the easy stuff. All right, we're definitely adding controllers. Done. Done. I forgot the syntax of a. You just pass out a function. Start small. To see if anything's working. I am not super familiar with this format. I think we're using it here. Oh, I probably have to tell it what to do. Oh, look at that. There are settings to this. So get. Oh, you have to separate them with this thing. Who invented this format? This is strange. Still a 404. Did I get the URL right? Or the domain? So now listening on that. What about this one? Okay, just something wrong with HTTPS apparently. Largely unimportant for what I'm doing here. So let's give that a go. Okay, still doesn't like that, but this one worked now. So we're getting that. Just for purposes of seeing it work, we could just move this little tester into the minimum API. I just want to see it work, like at all. These minimal APIs are weird. Stop. I swear this was the syntax. Then I could also say user manager. Am I in the wrong? That project is added. Okay. Well, if you think you need it, Sure. I don't really care. Oh, Jesus, Josh. Add the wrong. Okay. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get that to work. Gosh, it is a novel. Still, I've got my fingers crossed. It's gonna fit in the text. Or like night bottle. we'll break it. I need to make some space. Okay, so we got your question. 1 second, I'll get a drink. All right, when you import games, you choose to import without looking for metadata or downloading media. You have your reasons. That's funny. And while most of the time it adds region exactly as it is in parentheses, sometimes LaunchBox changes it. For example, USA becomes North America, Netherlands becomes the Netherlands, and there are ones like Taiwan that don't even make it into the region field, or Scandinavia, which seems like it has a mind of its own and just adds whatever it wants in the region field. How does the code determine what to go? I have a feeling we made an attempt at trying to normalize those things, in that there's some code that looks for those parentheses and does things with them based on an assumption made about those regions at the time. I am curious what your reasons are for not using the metadata. Maybe you have a better source of data, or you don't like ours, whatever it is. Most people use the one that's on the GamesDB, and that's that. So I'm guessing that we have like a hard-coded map between words that we find in the names and what we do with them, and it's probably just not what you're looking for. I am getting a teaser from a developer that the next version of the Windows one will probably be a little different. So there might be some changes to the behavior that you're seeing. As opposed to what it's doing now. But I can try to look at the code real quick at the LaunchBox existing to see if I can at least tell you what it's doing now. But forewarned, in the next release of Windows, there's a little bit of logic changes to the import processes because of some changes that we mentioned, I think, before you joined. We're moving from an older representation, an XML-based representation for the GamesDB stuff, but it does seem like the logic sort of influenced the name matching bit as well, if that makes any sense. But let me just see if I can find anything. This looks interesting. So we have this. This looks like what you're talking about. So you said you can't read code, but you can read words on a screen. So we have this like hard-coded thing here. So this is what it's doing right now, assuming you're running a recent-ish version of LaunchBox. And yeah, we detect these things, and we made some guesses as to what that meant. So I'm guessing that either there's something missing or an error, or something that you're not expecting in this one, because it has the examples I think that you mentioned, where USA becomes North America. The word "the" is largely just ignored, but you do see that in this case we do convert Netherlands to the Netherlands. So I'm guessing this is the logic that it's currently doing. Like I said, as I understand it, it's going to change. Hey, we got a new state. That's funny. Don't think I've ever come across a game that was marked that way. Okay, so you're trying to match on redump. All right, so the metadata, once it's imported, is yours, and as long as you don't ever resync it, you can change it to whatever you want. So if you don't like what our system automatically did, if you'd prefer Netherlands to stay Netherlands because that's what redump does, or no intro does, then by all means you can change it. But we do have some logic here, and I think this is what you're seeing. Oh, somebody's saying, okay, KK. I get to respond with your name. I worked with a developer once who always typed KK, the letters KK, as a response to, it was like a thumbs up or an okay. So your name gave me nostalgia for him. Yeah. So if you need a copy of this mapping, if that's helpful, I don't know if it is, but I think if your goal is to make it match exactly with what you have on those other schemes, then you can fix them. And as long as you don't re-import or ever do a metadata refresh, which would then pull it from what our games database says, you should be fine. I am curious if I can tell how old that code is. Probably reasonably old. It's probably been in there for a while. And it does look like we're doing some similar things with the name if there's these little underscores on it as well. the rough estimate for the time ago that we wrote this was 8 years. So if anything in the world has happened since then, it would not be represented here. Yeah, no trouble, Klutz. And like I said, the logic is hopefully being improved with respect to some of the enhancements that we have in the next version, but you're free to do whatever you want once it's in your system. I don't think we'll ever override something without you having acknowledged that that's a thing that you want. Awesome. All right, so I was trying to get a user to get created, and then if it works, so I was moving code over here, and I did, and it looks like it's compiled. So I should be able to call register with these details and hit play. And I got a false, of course, because why would it work? What information do I have? I have a list of errors. From those errors, I can select a code and a description, just so I can see something. So let's return a string instead and go. Oops, it didn't work. Oh, that's just an enumeration, and now I have to join that. No, string.join, I think. Or is it concat? No, string. Too many somethings. Not convert string to char. Oh, I have to put something in between it. Put that. Separated values. Cool. I must not be building it. This is getting a false. Oh, because I was clicking the wrong one. Okay, so the password is crap. That's what it's telling me. Oh, right. Pass 1, 2, 3 exclamation point. 2 symbols. I don't know. What does it need? It needs 6 characters long. 1 non-alphanumeric, and 1 digit, and 1 uppercase. Who the hell came up with that? That is a terrible set of policies. We won't be using any of that because we'll use whatever we have set up already, which I think is much, much more forgiving. Oh, I did a thing. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Do we still have that SQL database viewer thingy open? I do not. SQLite viewer online. Maybe Azure Data Studio can handle those files, but I'm just gonna go janky. I should see a user, but I don't. Oh, I didn't save it. No, it should save. Whatever. I made some progress. It said success. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the win for now. Does it think it succeeded now? Username's already taken. Okay, so it worked. It's just this data viewer probably not working so well. That's fine. I can live with that. So something with the database is wonky. I don't actually know how to use this tool. I just found it. I Googled it and it doesn't seem to be working. But hey, it worked. Awesome. We have a thing. So like I said, the goal is to take this concept. So I have a server now that can handle authentication. It should automatically, without any work, support OAuth and all of the things to let us hook it up to other sites. And so getting to a point where things were working not too bad. So I will play more with this offline. That is about the time that I wanted to spend with you guys today. So I do appreciate everyone joining in and listening to me blabble and watching me fail at writing code, but ultimately get something to work. And as said at the very beginning, we'll be doing these weekly at this time, 1 Eastern time on Tuesdays for a developer-focused discussion, and then on Thursdays, a 1 Eastern time where it'll be more product and sort of visually interesting pieces on the weekly, and then once a month or more often as needed, a deep dive into some component or feature or integration or whatever topic associated with LaunchBox. So very user focused of how to use the game that is LaunchBox, everyone's favorite game. And yeah, so hopefully that is a well-rounded bit of information for those that are really interested in seeing what we do here at LaunchBox. But otherwise, thanks so much, and I will be just putting the stream ending thing on and shutting up. But otherwise, I'll stay on the chat for a few minutes if anybody has any last minute questions. And always, you can reach out to us on the forums, on Discord, and of course, our support channel. And hopefully very soon, a newer, more modern replacement of the Bitbucket. I'll say that in mumbles, so maybe it doesn't make it into the clip. We'll talk to everyone soon. Not a problem, Klutz. Thanks for asking. That's what we do these for, is ultimately to answer those kinds of questions. So thanks, everyone. Adios. Talk soon.